from ESPN 1530, from SB Nation, from Cage Side Seats, from the Bleav Network, Bleav Pro Wrestling. He has to put up with SB3 more than I do, I think. So he was at WWE Fastlane. He is Rick Ucchino. Rick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing well. Rick, I have a very important question to
Yes.
open off the show with. Do you feel him, sir? Do you still feel him, sir?
I do. In fact, I did multiple times. I answered him multiple times, and I made sure to answer Cody Rhodes as well. So yes, I was picking up what he was putting down, shall we say.
You felt him multiple times?
You felt him multiple times?
Figuratively, not literally.
What a report.
Figuratively, not literally. Very important there.
Look at you all decked out in the Bengals garb as well. I know you're working multiple shows right now. We appreciate you. They actually won yesterday. More.
They did.
What did I could say about my team? My team with 0 wins on the season. Yeah, we're rolling. We're cooking this year.
Had a great offseason though.
Yeah, great offseason. Sure. We traded away what's going to be the #1 overall pick. Great job, team. What'd you make of Fastlane overall? The final impressions from the show.
I'm kind of in the same boat with SP3 on this one. I thought it was a very good B-level pay-per-view show. It had a hot opening with an ending that I was not expecting. I did not pick Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso to win the tag team titles. And honestly, this wasn't something that I knew I needed to see until I saw them hanging out in the post-media scrum together and just them talking about coming up together and both of them having Hall of Fame fathers and just, having separate roads to getting to where they are now as both legit main event competitors in WWE. It was really a nice way to open the show and then a nice way to close it out with one of the all-time WWE press conference appearances between those two. I know that there haven't been many WWE press conferences. It's still a young, growing process there, but those two together, they just work. And that was a nice opening. A lot of great moments. Happy Io Sky retained. I enjoyed that triple threat match. And then the last man standing match to close out the show was really, really good. I was pulling for Shinsuke Nakamura. Felt like a now or never for him, but Seth continues. Going to be interesting to see where they go with him now moving forward.
Do you think Damian Priest should have cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase?
Boy, yeah. I kind of felt like that's where they were going to go because this matchup has not been the main event program on Monday Night Raw at all. Any segment. It's always been closing with the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, some combination of all of those people involved, while Seth and Shinsuke have been 8 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock hour, opening up the 10 o'clock hour on Monday Night Raw, and then all of a sudden, this is the match that closes, and not John Cena, and not LA Knight, and not any Bloodline or Cody Rhodes. I'm like, oh, well, clearly there's going to be a title change involved in some way, shape, or form. And there wasn't. I was genuinely surprised by that. I thought by them putting together the press conference at the last minute, we were either going to get to talk to Jade Cargill or there was going to be a world title change. Neither of those things happened. So it was an interesting decision. Good way to close the show. The World Heavyweight Championship should have closed the show. It's the big title on the card, but it just wasn't booked that way leading into the show. So I was a little curious. I thought that would have been a good moment. I mean, Seth Rollins' back was destroyed at the end of that thing. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura whooped his ass for a solid 30 minutes. If that's not the time for Damian to cash in, I know he hurt himself in that opener, but yeah, it just seemed like that would have been a good moment for Damian to do it. Interesting to see why they didn't go that way.
Well, he had the injury, Rick. He was hobbling around, and Rhea was like, "Nope, now is not the time." I don't understand, why doesn't Judgment Day just attack Rollins, and then who cares if Priest is injured? Just let him cash in off of that.
Just like lay him in like Mortal Kombat style. Just carry him into the ring and lay him down, and let Priest just who cares? Nothing matters. Yeah, I mean, if that's not the way they ultimately decide to do it, I mean, what are we doing here, guys?
what was going on with the crowd? Because I agree with you. I think the triple threat matchup was good with Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka, but it felt like the crowd was just very silent during that, and I felt like it affected the ladies' performance because we saw a lot of like kind of mistimed spots that us watching at home heard the commentary be like, "Oh, glancing blow," and it was like, no, they didn't hit. It just didn't hit. It felt like the ladies were thrown off by the crowd response. So what was it like for you being there live?
Yeah, personally in my section, it was annoying as all hell during that match because the gentlemen who were around me and their commentary was about some of the worst things that you could hear coming out of pro wrestling fans, where it was more about, oh, she could get it and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, guy, you're not funny. And in what universe do you think that would actually happen? And I don't know, man. There are just some crowds that respect women's wrestling and there are some that don't. And last Saturday night, excuse me, I don't know what day it is anymore. It seemed like that was a crowd that half the stadium just didn't, unfortunately. But they got up for some of the big moments. It was louder than what it came off on TV for sure. And yeah, look, I thought the ladies went out there and had a great performance from my vantage point. It may have looked different on TV, but yeah, man, I feel like though they sent Pat McAfee out there afterwards to like slap the shit out of him, like, hey guys, give us some freaking juice here. What the hell is going on here? That was definitely a let's wake the crowd up kind of moment for Pat McAfee there.
That's a super chat from Chi-Town Spurs. Anyone find a missed opportunity that Jade's first appearance on WWE programming was a short backstage segment on a BPLE pre-show? Did they air that in the arena, the Jade arrival?
Yes, they did. They aired it in the arena. And here's the thing people have to remember, and they are why I think they're playing it right, slow playing this. The guys to the right of me immediately after like she showed up were like, who is that? And they were serious. They had no idea who Jade Cargill was because they don't watch AEW. And there's a large portion of WWE's audience who have no clue who Jade Cargill is, have no idea what she has done in her career. So by them continuously putting out these social media posts and just sprinkling her in on television here or there, just to kind of like a little bit of bait, really, honestly. So like, okay, who is Jade Cargill? What has she done? I think it's a smart move on WWE's part to do it like this until she, as Triple H said in the post-media scrum, until she's ready to go out there in front of a live audience and start crushing it. So I think that was a smart play, honestly.
Do you think they should have had her be front row for the show and done the front row camera gimmick instead of just a backstage arrival gimmick?
Probably. Yeah. Part of me is wondering if they don't know where they want her to go. So like,
that's what I got, Rick. I got it as they don't know what they want to do with her right now from all of that. Because I agree with both of y'all. They should have had her at least just sit in the crowd for the women's matchup, and then you can move her out. Just have her sit there for the women's match. Because it was like you literally brought her here for her to show up and talk to Triple H for 2 seconds, and that's it.
Yeah, I was like, honestly, and I even like sent a message to USB3 kind of in jest. I was like, wait a minute here. Could they have Jade show up and take out Rhea, and that would allow her old pal Cody to win the tag team titles? Could that be something that they do there? They decided not to do that, obviously. But yet, I don't think they've committed to what her first storyline or angle is going to be. So they didn't want to put her, watching a SmackDown women's match or watching, or getting involved with Rhea or anything like that. Cause I just don't think they've decided where they want her to start. She still may show up in NXT. Who knows?
I'll just wait until she shows up on NXT on Tuesday to combat AEW. Yeah. Just wait. She's going to confront The Undertaker. Undertaker's going to come out there. Jade's going to cut him off.
She's just going to do this to The Undertaker. That's it. Not even words.
That would be great. Weisel kind of echoes you guys of maybe they don't want to set expectations until they know exactly where they want her. And yeah, if you put her in the front row of the women's title match, then you're thinking, oh, she's going to be on SmackDown. Then if she's not on SmackDown, then it's like, well, why was she front row for that match if she's not going to be on that brand? I guess you can just say she's scouting everybody. Let's talk about this press
and
conference.
There's no brand split. There's no brand split, man. Jey Uso quit. got traded to Raw, and he was on SmackDown this week.
They never did the trade compensation.
No,
they still have no idea what the trade compensation. Can we fire this GM? Whoever's running the SmackDown GM, he's gotten no trade compensation
it's the
back.
Same GM. It's Adam Pearce running both shows.
He's leaving himself voice messages. That's what he's on the phone with. He's leaving himself voice messages. Like, yeah, SmackDown should get something.
At least Cody and Jay winning the tag titles kind of puts to bed any thought that it's going to be Cody that's being sent over to SmackDown, though, right?
And now they're just both going to appear whenever they want on SmackDown. That's the trade.
Yeah.
Is that, now you're both over here whenever you want. Terrible GMing by the SmackDown. This is why they didn't get the rights renewal either. This is why it's going to USA. USA Network knows how to run a brand over here. SmackDown, Fox clearly doesn't.
Yep.
Terrible. Let's talk about this press conference, Rick. You've done plenty of these press conferences. I know it's always a juggle of in character, out of character type of thing. I like asking my media friends, like, what is your kind of mindset going into the press conference?
Yeah. So I sat down. It changes. Honestly, it varies by who's in the room, right? Like if you go to like one of these big events like WrestleMania, like, oh, okay, I need to raise my hand early and often because there's like 40 people in that room and it's going to be hard to even get a question in. And I have to know I have to have like 9 or 10 questions deep because chances are Sean Rossap and Nick Hausman and John Alba and Denise Salcedo, we're all on the same mindset of who's going to be asking the same 3 big questions. And we all know what the important stuff is. Exactly. Yes. and so I sat down in that room on Saturday night and I'm like, oh, I know like one person in here right now that has ever like actually been in a media scrum before. So I'm like, this is going to be interesting. And you could almost smell the inexperience in the room just sitting in there. And I'm like not to say like, not to make it sound more important than it was, but I was like, I almost feel like I need to take this press conference over at a certain point, like early on. And honestly, that kind of is what ended up happening. There was a point where WWE literally just handed me the microphone. Like, yeah.
Well, it was the last question. It was going to be the last question, but then even you were like, I don't know if you want this to be the last question. You asked about Edge, which was a very good question to ask Triple H, because I think that was on a lot of people's minds. I think also on a lot of people's minds was like, what are we doing with NXT on Tuesday and loading this show up and everything? There was plenty of questions to be asked, but the Edge question was something that we kind of needed an answer to, and obviously a big topic with everything going on. I mean, you've done plenty of these, and okay, so you get like Cody and Jay. They are clearly up there. Cody had said it. They'd had some libations. Look at Cody with his big words. They'd had some libations before the.
And then you have the deadpan face. You have
to. Jay, I don't know if he like actually answered any question. But like when you're asking them and you can see the mood that they are in, how do you have to change of like, yeah, I'm not gonna get like an actual like good answer out of these guys. Let me ask something a little bit more like fun and jokey and just try to get whatever I can out of it.
Yeah, like my question was always going to be the same for both of those guys. But I did have to kind of change course real quick. I like to set things up with a lot of context, which is why I brought up 9 years ago, Cody winning the tag team titles, beating the Usos, and immediately Jay cut me off like I was about to like take this as a negative spin, and he's like, well, why are you bringing up bullshit? Like, why are you bringing up bullshit? How old are you? Like, what is this? And that started the whole age debate. And you saw like, man, you look like you're 45. And then when I actually asked a good question, he was like, shit, now you look like you're 21. And like, it just kind of took off. It just kind of took off from there. So you could tell he was like, yeah, you asked a good question. That's my bad. Like, so it's like, I'll have fun with him and things like that. But yeah, I'm more of a guy. I don't like to be aggressive in the press conferences. I like to sit back a little bit because I like to let the first question, unless it's somebody like right away where I want to set the tone, I like to see what the tone is going to be set for that particular person. Are they going to answer questions in character? Are they going to answer questions as the person themselves? Because some like to stay in character, some don't. And I like to kind of like sit back and wait and see how I need to attack what my questioning is going to be. It's a completely different animal than doing like an NFL press conference, because you kind of know what you're going to get. It's a box of chocolates with the WWE press conference. You don't know what you're going to get when you ask a question. So typically I like to see somebody else break the ice first and see how things are going to go. But yeah, I really wanted to get in there with that Cody question and ask him about Jay, and ask Jay about winning the tag team titles for the first time without Jimmy being there. I thought that was kind of a really cool thing last night. So they were great to deal with, though. I think the new rule should be 2 drink minimum for these press conferences.
Yes,
I'm with you.
I'm with it as well. That was the most entertaining WWE press conference I ever seen.
Let them take a couple shots. Let them take an edible before they get up there, and whatever you got to do. That was fantastic. All right, Rick. Well, I got to ask you a real question now. How old actually are you?
I'm 35. I was honest right off the bat. Yeah, that's it.
If you're gonna be in character, lying about your age.
No. Just don't zoom in on the hairline, because then you might think I am 45.
Oh boy.
But
This is why I wear a hat all the time too, because I don't want anybody seeing my giant forehead and hair out here. SB3, you got anything for Rick before we have to wrap up here?
Well, I just want to say it on air. I said it on Twitter, but you were the MVP as far as that side, the side of the off camera. You were the MVP. You really asked some great questions throughout the night, especially the edge question, and you made me very proud to call you one of my tag team partners, sir.
I appreciate that, and yeah, I know. Like, seriously, this was something that was like eating at me all day yesterday. Even with. I appreciate all the love that I got on Twitter. Like, really, that was more than I deserved. Like, I was literally just doing my job. But like that edge question, as great of a response as I got from Triple H, like when no one asked about CM Punk, I'm like, damn it, did I make the wrong call on that? Because I was literally deciding which question I was going to ask while I was talking to him. Like, I did not know which one I was going to choose until the last split second when I said, I'm trying to think exactly what I said. It was like one guy who's not going to be a part of the future. Like, that's when I made my decision to ask about Edge. I just felt like it was more timely, since he had actually made a debut, talked about, not why the separation with the company, happened. And I was like, I just feel like that's the way to go. I'll leave the low hanging fruit for somebody else to pick up, and nobody else picked it up. Unfortunately, I had one question that I could ask out of like 9 that I wanted to ask him. Like, in all honesty, the one I really wanted to ask him was going back to what he said about Shinsuke Nakamura, where he said, this is the Shinsuke Nakamura I've been waiting years to see in WWE. I really just wanted to go, well, motherfucker, what took so long? Like, that's really what I wanted to ask. But I decided to go with
Vince is what took so long, Rick.
Yeah, I know. But like, come on, motherfucker. Like, what took so long? That's what I wanted to ask him. But I just felt the edge question was the one right there. And hey, look, guys, don't worry. There are going to be plenty more options for people to ask about CM Punk. But Nick Hausman's presence was definitely missed in this press conference for sure.
I feel like everyone's just got to let that go to Nick. Like, that's his territory. No one else can actually ask that. It's got to be Nick's question. So
he might as well just be the CM Punk beat reporter at this point.
Yeah,
I want Nick to go to press conference with CM Punk's diary and like ask questions from it. Like on January 22nd, 2014, CM Punk said this. What do you think? Like, I know he got the diary. Nick, if you're watching, I know you got the diary. I know you got all the stories. And that's why you're leaking them out very strategically. I respect you, sir.
I know he's got way more than that sitting at home, to be completely honest with you. I'll tell you guys that story off air.
Rick, I know you got to go. You have more important things to do than this show. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, one-stop shop at Rick Ucchino, as it's spelled on the screen, RICKUCCHINO, for those who maybe... Is this on a podcast? I don't even know. That's just me rolling into my normal shtick. But
it's audio and video.
Okay, good. So if you're listening on the audio, RICKUCCHINO, that's my work for Cage Side Seats. For Bleav Pro Wrestling, which I believe SP3 and I are going to be on Wednesday night this week after Title Tuesday and NXT WrestleMania tomorrow night. And all the other work that I do covering the Bengals and the Reds and Cincinnati news and all that stuff. So just follow me on Twitter or the X or Threads or all that stuff under the same handle. And yeah, I'm also working on a cookbook now, so you're going to see some food porn from time to time. So there you go.
Very nice.
Is Renee? Are you doing this with Renee?
All
I
those
wish.
Ohio people.
Oh, okay.
I wish. I'd love to. I emailed her asking for some advice. I haven't got a response back yet, but hopefully, fingers crossed.
Imagine a Bengals cookbook with Rick and Renee.
Rick and Renee. That
Look at
sounds like a
this.
morning show.
I'm putting it out there.
Dude, you just laid out my pipe dream for 700 WLW in Cincinnati. I want Rick and Renee in the morning. Like, I'm trying to manifest that one day when her AEW career is wound up.
Rick, we appreciate it. Before you go, can you give us a yeet?
Yeet.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Rick.
Yep. Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Later,
buddy.
brother.